Hello dears, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this channel I share sewing tutorials and tips that you will like, so please consider subscribing. In today's tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you how you can make this cowl neck top with a peasant sleeve. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, you have to keep watching. Some of the fabric choices that you can use for this are very lightweight fabrics, fabrics that can give you that drape in front for the cowl neck. So these are the measurements that you'll be needing for all of this is on the screen. You can screenshot and measure yourself accordingly. So first I marked out a straight line, and then I'm going ahead to mark the length of my top. I'm sorry that you cannot see the down part, but I'll still show you what it looks like. So next thing, I'm going to be marking my shoulder. My shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2, and that is 7 inches. And I'm going ahead to mark the armhole of my top so that I can create the L looking kind of shape that will help us shape out and curve our armhole appropriately. So I'm going ahead to mark out this line in into a square then I went ahead on the end of the shoulder to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So the neck width I'm going to be working with is 3 inches, and the neck depth I'm going to be working with is also 3 inches. We're still going to go ahead and modify this later. We're just using a basic neckline for now. So here I connected to get my slope and the neckline. This is just draft your basics bodies basically. So I'm dividing the shoulder into 2 what's remaining, and I got the midpoint, and here you can see me trying to shape it so that I can create the curve for the front part of this cowl neck top. I'm basically just drafting my basic bodies, so just draft your basic bodies, okay? So next I'm going to be marking my bust point, and my bust point is 10 inches. My half length is 16.5. I will square that into a straight line, and once I was done doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to insert the measurements, like my measurements, right? My bust and my waist measurements. Guys, if you already know how to draft a basic bodies, is a plus, but I'm just going through this process for people who do not know how to draft it. So here I'm dividing my bust into 4, and I'm inserting on the bust point plus 1.5 inches allowance. The same thing I'm doing on the waist line, and the same thing I'm doing around the hip area. My hip divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches. So next I'm just going to go ahead and bring in my ruler, and I will connect all of these lines to each other. So after I am done doing all of this, now next I'm going to do is to just mark the back measurement still on this pattern. I'm going to modify the back measurements still on this pattern. Just watch what I'm going to do. So here I am drawing the armhole for my back. I don't need to go in by anything. If you're familiar with drafting a basic bodies, you will understand, or you can still watch a video on the channel on how I draft my basic bodies. So for the back, I am going to be using a 1.5 inches back depth for the back neckline of this cowl neck. It does not need to be low. No, your cowl neck back does not need to be low. It has to be high. That's what helps hold it in place, and it's not moving in all directions at the front. So here I am marking my dart, an extra 1 inch on the waistline for my dart, and that's because I want to add a dart at the back of this top. This is absolutely optional. You can decide to go through this process, or you can just decide to leave this pattern as it was. It's not a must. So next I'm just going to go ahead and cut this pattern through. I didn't add my shoulder allowance for joining. I went ahead to do that, and you can see that I'm cutting the back side first. After I cut it out, then I'm going to go ahead to cut out for the front. So this is the fabric I'm using. This fabric is slightly stretchy, okay? So I'm using the stretched out part for this. So here you can see me pinning this down. I've pinned it down and I'm cutting out the back side. If you want to add a zipper allowance, then I think you're going to be adding your zipper allowance at this point. You leave out like 1 inch for your zipper allowance, or you can choose to add the zipper allowance on the side. But I'm not going to be adding any zipper allowance to this because, like I said, my fabric is slightly stretchy. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm shading out the back part so that I can go ahead and cut it and just have my front pattern to work with for the front. I hope you guys are following. Please don't get confused. Guys, if you've not subscribed to my channel, I think this is a good time for you to click on that notification bell because, hello, I share sewing tutorials that you will like. So next I'm deciding the depth of my cowl neck, and I'm deciding to use a 12 inches. So you can see me marking out the line. So this line is where my slash line is going to end, okay? Where how deep I want it to be, that's where my slash line is going to end. So I'm going to mark out slash lines. You can see I used my pencil to just mark out the lines that I wanted first of all before I can come in with my marker. I love to do that just so I don't make, you know, further mistakes. So I marked out the first line, I marked the second line, marked out the third line, and I marked out the fourth line. But then while I was cutting this, I later decided that the lines were too much, so I just worked with this line that I'm marking now, the next one, and the one following. I didn't really work with the very first line coming from the shoulder. I didn't work with it again. So but you can slash as much as you want, okay? You can even slash just twice. I don't think there are no rules to this. Just see how I'm slashing it from the center point towards the side, and you can see that I'm cutting through but not entirely cutting all the way. And I made sure that my slash line did not exceed where I wanted this hem, where I wanted my cowl neck to stop. So here I am going ahead to pin it down. I'm going to turn this over later because I want to show you guys how I pinned this to the cloth on the down part, okay? You have to do yours like that. So I'm just opening up by 2 inches. That's how much spread I am using. You can go ahead to do more, but just know that the more you spread this, the more you have, the more you have volume around your cowl neck area. But I think what I have here, I like it. So you can spread as much as you like. So this is what it looks like. On the down part, you can see I made this to come out in a slanted form. Very important. That's how your own down part should be. And on the shoulder area, you're just going to draw a straight line from the shoulder and all the way straight to the center front of this, okay? Please don't get confused. Now once I did that, the next thing I did was to fold this over. I intentionally left about 4 inches on top because I want to use it for my facing. So I will fold it over into under the fabric, right? Then I will go ahead and cut it. So that serves as my facing for this cowl neck. If you want, you can leave out that part, but I think it's really important so that the inner part of your fabric does not show. That part will just be covering it up, okay? So here I will just go ahead and cut it out. And after I was done cutting this out, the next thing for me to do is just to unpin this before we can now start working on it. So you can see what it looks like. So this is what that upper part really looks like. You can see that extra. We're going to fold it in when we're turning the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and unpin all of this that I have. So I've unpinned it, and this is what my front really looks like. I'll just open it up so that you see our cowl is already forming, guys. It's already forming, honestly. You can see the way it's looking. So here is our sleeve. This is just a DIY sleeve, you know, a very simple peasant sleeve. So I marked 5 inches from the top line. You can read the caption on the video also, it will help. 5 inches from the top line, and then on that 5 inches, that place is called the cap height, I marked 8 inches, which is my armhole divided by 2, and I just, you know, connected like in a curve. I connected it towards the top line, the center top line, and then I went ahead to add 4 inches allowance for the pleats. I wanted to make sure that I had my armhole and even excess, because it is that excess that you have you're going to pleat on the shoulder area to give you that peasant sleeve that you are hoping to have. I hope it's clear. So once I was done doing that, the next thing I did was just use a straight ruler and connect from that 4 inches all the way to the length of this sleeve. Okay, connect all the way to the length of this sleeve. That's all I did, but I connected this in an A-line form. Just watch the way I place my ruler. It's not straight. I did not keep it straight. I kept it in an A-line form, as if I'm, drawing like an A. Okay, so that's what gives you that full volume that you want at the down part of this sleeve. I hope that we are clear. So next, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. I didn't even know that this part was not really showing very clear on camera, but this is just a basic sleeve. The only thing there to note is to add a lot of allowance around the armhole area so that you have enough to even pleat on the shoulder, and also to draft this in an A-line form. That's all. That's just the 2 things that you have to note about this sleeve, just to give you that volume on the down part and the pleats on the upper part. That is all. So I'm going to I just opened it up. It's in 2. I cut the 2 of them together. Yes, I did the 2 sleeves together. So here is my bias. I want to use this bias to bias the neckline of the back. You can go ahead and fold, or you can use a facing for yours, but I'm going to be using a bias for mine. So I used the bias to bias this, and I went ahead to insert my darts. Like I said, if you don't want a dart, you can skip this process. But me, I want a dart, so I went ahead to just insert my darts. Normally, nothing more, just the way that you insert your dart. So next, I'm going to be bringing in the front, and I'm going to be joining the 2 of them. So now I'm making the right side face upwards, like face me, and then I'm making the other right part to face down. Okay, I will turn this over to the other side. When I noticed that it wasn't really showing, I turned it over. So you can see that I folded in that facing that we folded under. I folded it upwards. Do you get? Please don't get confused. So I just folded it upwards, and I placed the sleeve on the shoulder area, and I use the facing to just turn it over towards the other side. Just watch what I'm doing. Just turn it over towards the other side, and I went ahead to pin it. So once I was done doing, the next thing I just did was to go to my sewing machine, sew it, and that's it. But we're going to still do this on the other part of the sleeve. I wanted to cut out one part, but I wasn't sure if you guys have understood this. So I said, okay, I was going to do this on the other sleeve also and show it on camera. I wanted this video to be as short as possible, but I'm so shocked that it's this long. So this is the other side of the sleeve. So place this facing each other, okay, and then you're going to turn it over with the facing part of it. You just turn it over with the facing part, pin, and just go ahead and sew. Please, I hope you're not confused. In case you're confused, just go ahead and you can back forward this video and go ahead and watch it again and again until you understand what I did here. It's very, very simple. Just place them front side facing each other and use that facing to cover it up and sew. That's all. So this is what it looks like. Next, I'm going to go, either you go and fold this facing over, that facing that was coming inwards, fold it, or you go ahead and serger it. But I chose to serger mine, so I went ahead, I've gone ahead to weave it. Can you see? So I've gone ahead to weave it, and I also weave the shoulder area. You can see how that facing is coming inwards. What this does is that it's not going to allow your fabric to be showing from the under. What will be showing is the right side of the fabric instead of the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this. I'm closing this by just an inch. If you want, you can take away all the 1.5 you added. I added 1.5, but I went ahead to just use 1 inch to close it, because even though this fabric is stretchy, it's not like easy lycra you get. So I had to still be very careful and apply common sense. So I'm going to be creating a casing on the down part of my sleeve for my elastic. I'm creating an elastic casing. So once I was done doing that, I will take it to my sewing machine and sew. But first I sergeed it, like I weaved it, and I came back and I, inserted my elastic to it. So here I've gone ahead to sew it down. I used 1 inch. I used 1 inch casing. So this is the safety pin that I am going to be using to pass this elastic to the casing. So I'll bring my elastic and I will cut according to the round sleeve that I'm working with. So I'm going to be measuring my round sleeve. Now my round sleeve is 7 inches, but I went ahead to use 8. Okay, and the reason is because 2 reasons. This elastic they are creating now, I don't know, it's not very stretchy, and again I know I'm going to be taking out like half of an inch on 2 sides to sew it together, so that's why I'm using 8, even though my round sleeve is 7. But if you're working with an elastic that is really super stretchy, then you might want to take away from your original round sleeve for this. All right, so I'm cutting that into 2. That's for the 2 sleeves. So once I was done doing this, I will just bring in my safety pin, pass it on the elastic. You can see what it looks like. This is what it's going to secure it, and then you can now go ahead and be passing it into the elastic casing that you've created. While doing this, you have to be very careful so that your elastic does not go inside. Once I got to that point, I was still seeing a little of the elastic. I just went ahead to bring in my office pin and I secured it down there. I actually used 2 pins because I don't want to hear stories, maybe get to the other end of the sleeve and then this part has come off. I didn't want that at all. So I'm going ahead to just pass this, and after doing this, next is to just take this to my sewing machine and just sew the 2 ends together. When I got to that point, I took away my safety pin and I still secured it with a pin. Like I said, I do not want to hear stories, so I secured with 2 pins. You can see me doing that. So this is the best way that, I don't know how you guys pass your elastic, but this is the best way that I've learned how to pass my elastic, and it's super easy. If you've not tried it, you can just try it after seeing this video. So I've secured it and I'll go ahead and sew the 2 ends to secure it again further before I can even start to insert this sleeve on, before I can even start to add this sleeve to the bodies. So here I have done the securing with my sewing machine. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this sleeve to my cowl top, which is already ready. So I just I notched the center point. So you can see I've actually put one side of this sleeve. And what did I do? I kept sewing straight without any pleats. The only place that I pleated was on the shoulder point. So when you are closing your measurements, please open up a little like this, so that it will enable you, it will make it easy for you to be able to sew in your sleeves to this. So the same thing I did on this side is what I'm going to do on this side. Just sew straight all the way and just pleat only around your shoulder line, the line that is joining your front and your back on the shoulder. That's where you're going to pleat. So this is where the notch comes in, the center point notch on the sleeve. So secure 2 of them, like pin them together, that center point to the center point of the shoulder, and then you are going to take to your sewing machine. I think I've explained this enough, but I have to keep explaining so that you understand. Just keep sewing, don't stress yourself. When you get to an inch or 1.5 inch, to that center point shoulder line, you can just go ahead and just start pleating at that point. So that will give you the peasant effect that you're looking for. The same thing on the other side. So I'll go to my sewing machine now and I will do that. So I've gone ahead to do it, and here I'm going to just close this sleeve. I'm using 1/2 inch around the sleeve area, and I'm connecting back into the 1 inch that I used for the bodies, like to close the bodies. Okay guys, if you want a zip, you can add a zip by the side of your cowl neck top, or you can actually add a zip on the back, which means your pattern is going to have a 1 inch zipper allowance. Okay, so here I'm just going to fold it down, tiny fold, nothing much. You can use the bias, you can use the fabric just like that. And that is, so this is what our top looks like. It's super gorgeous and beautiful. This is so chic, like I love it so much. So guys, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified every single time that I upload a video. Can you see how draped it is in front? The cowl is cowing. So thank you so much for seeing my videos. I really do appreciate. See you in my next one. Bye.